Welcome to Successfully Simple, the creative entrepreneur's guide to working less and living more. I'm your host, Erin Flynn, and I've been running my creative business since 2012, and now I'm sharing everything I can to help you along your journey. On this podcast, we'll be diving into ways that you can find the support that you need, simplify your business so that you can work less while still hitting your goals, create a signature service with consistent income, systematize your business so that it runs smoothly, and sell without feeling sleazy. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, Erin here, and today I am joined by Sarah Masci. She has 15 years of branding and design experience and is a leader in the online industry for clients who are looking for high-quality digital design. As the founder of Book Me for a Day, which is her signature one-day intensive program, she thrives on compressing professional branding, web, and digital design into one day versus weeks or months. I'm so excited for you to hear this interview. It is so excellent, full of incredible takeaways on how to create your own day rate service. Trust me, even if this is not something you're currently considering, you probably will be by the end. Let's go ahead and dive into the episode. Sarah, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Erin. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad to have this conversation with you.
All right, so let's dive straight into the questions. I know people are like, how the heck do you do this all in a day? So can you first explain what exactly is a day rate and how have you used them in your business to be successful and actually get things done in such a short period of time?
Yeah, so a day rate is really basically someone paying you a flat fee up front, like ahead of time. They're going to book you for one day, and you're basically promising them your time for the day. So you're not really promising them any set of deliverables, although you want to like set their expectations with what they can expect to receive. But the key distinguishing factor is that they're booking you for the day, not the deliverables. So they might want a website and they will book you for a day and you can get 3 or 4 pages of that website done, and that's awesome. If they need something more elaborate, then they might need to book you for 2 days or a day and a half. So again, they're booking you for the day, and they're really, the client for this is someone looking for quick turnaround. They want to be kind of, involved in the process, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for that quick turnaround and for the ability to be involved in the process and get their results so quickly.
So I would imagine that this attracts like the kind of client who obviously they want that quick turnaround, but they're probably really, really looking for a solution. And they're like, this is how I get this done quickly. This is how I solve my problem. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Most of these clients are people who they just want it done. They're not the type of clients that are going to micromanage. They're not really nitpicky. I mean, you will have some clients and they like the process because they can be involved. But then you have the other clients who are just like, yes, I've seen your work. I love your work. I trust you. I've seen your, results and testimonials. I know that you're going to do what I need you to do. And they just kind of let you have at it and get it done in a day.
I know I have a lot of designers in my audience, and I know that you're a designer. So I'm assuming a lot of people listening are like, oh, I could do branding in a day or maybe a website in a day. But are there other types of businesses besides just design that this works well for?
Yeah, I've seen copywriters, pretty much any done-for-you consultant. So whether you're a copywriter, a VA, there's a lot of VAs that are trying to kind of transition into design, or they get thrown into design by the people that they're working for, and then they realize that they enjoy the design part of their job, and so they become designers. So VAs, marketing strategists, Facebook ads strategists, copywriters. I mean, I've had interior designers who have been interested in this. Interior designers and like personal fashion designers where they work with clients for a day and help them do like a complete wardrobe makeover. So it really can work for anybody who's doing in-person or done-for-you one-on-one services like that.
I love it. So I guess the next logical question is how the heck do you organize everything that you need to do in that day before that day gets here? Because you have to have systems in place, obviously, right?
Yeah. So the first time I launched to this, it was just kind of on a whim. It was a very like spur of the moment, aha idea. I shared it in Facebook, and I had somebody book me like right away. And like as soon as she booked me, I realized I don't have systems in place. I'm not prepared. Like, what do I send her? Like, how do I make sure I have everything? So I put together over time. I mean, it's been a couple of years since I've been running these. And so now I have like a full, like foolproof blueprint of documents and files and where things go. So I have my clients do homework before the intensive. So basically they book me and then they get like a whole onboarding kit, which has links to do like my branding course, like my mini branding course, because I want them to get clear on their brand vision before our day together, so that come that day, like I'm ready to get to work on the brand or the website, and they've already done all of like, so it's basically comparable to, you know, your branding questionnaire or your website questionnaire, but I give them all of that up front.
Do you ever have problems with people not doing the homework in time or beforehand? And then how do you deal with it if they don't?
I mean, what it comes down to is if they don't do the homework, then I can't be very productive on our intensive. And so these clients understand that they're paying good money for this day together. So I'm not attracting the slacker client who isn't going to do their homework.
I like that. And I think the key here is that this attracts a person who is ready to get it done, which probably prevents a lot of issues, you know, from coming up in terms of like indecisiveness and not, you know, completing homework. That I know a lot of my web designer students are probably like, oh, I have to, you know, get clients to give me content. And, you know, that's like pulling teeth. But if they've got one day and, you know, they have to have everything done.
I've had one, actually this just happened to me just last week or the week before. I had one client and she, you know, with everything going on right now in the world, like everybody's a little distracted, and she wasn't getting her prep work done, and we pushed it out. I gave her some forgiveness and like let her reschedule it, even though she technically shouldn't have, but with everything going on. And so then we had like our kickoff call and we went over everything. She still didn't have her copy written for the website. And I was like, I need it tomorrow morning. I'm going to be starting bright and early. I need that copy. So I sat down on my computer that morning to start working. And we had a shared Google Doc where all of her copy was. And I could see her in there typing on the Google Doc at 6 a.m. to get ready for our day together. So she made it happen. I mean, she pulled it off. And at the end of the day, we had a full website done. So these clients, I mean, they're going to do what it takes because they know that they've just got that one day with you.
I think this could be such a great solution for, you know, so many creative business owners who work with clients who tend to maybe need too much hand-holding or a lot of extra time to do things. Instead, this just weeds down to the people who are just like, I want it, I'm doing it, even if I have to get up super early and get it done the day of. These are motivated clients, which I think is such a cool thing, because so many times, you know, in whatever industry we're in, I think we're trying to make the sale. We're like trying to convince somebody of why they need to hire us. And in this case, it's like, we've got the solution and they're ready for it. And so It's just kind of a different type of person that you're attracting, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, and I didn't even put a whole lot of thought into it when I first started offering. I started offering it more for me. Like, I just needed this solution because I didn't like projects that dragged on for 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, 2 years. I mean, I had one project that dragged on for almost 2 years and I was just over it. I was done. And so I realized that I like to work very focused, very intensely in like these quick bursts, and then go away for a week if I want to, or take, like in the summer, I take weeks off at a time with my kids because I compress all of my intensives into just a few days a month. And then I have the rest of the month to go to the pool or go to the beach or do whatever with my boys. And so I did it for me, but now looking back, clients love it. And I'm always booked out several months in advance because everybody wants to get in on this because they love how quick it is. They love just, you know, knowing exactly like we're going to start in the morning and at the end of the day, I can expect to have this much work done. And whenever I get on like discovery calls with clients, I'm still amazed by how many clients tell me how brilliant like the concept is, and they just have never seen it before and they just love it so much. And like that's pretty much what sells a lot of them. It's just like the whole concept.
I love it personally, and we had chatted last week before this interview, and I like bombarded you with questions because this is something that I want to do, especially once I have my first child and, you know, I have a baby. I'm like, it's very, I think for me it would be very difficult to have, you know, those 3-month projects, but being able to compress something down into a day or two and still, deliver something to my clients that's going to be, great quality, great value for them, but is just, maybe structured in a different way, is like, yes, I need this. I am so happy I've met Sarah.
I love it. And like I said, like just knowing that at the end of the day, you're done with that client. And if they want to keep working with you, they're going to pay you again for another day. Like you're not obligated to keep doing anything really. And like just knowing like on the weekends, I don't have to be worrying about a deadline, or, I did a project on Friday and it was done. And like, I don't ever have to think about it again. So even if you have a bad client, it's only one day and then you're done. You never have to work with them again. You're not stuck with somebody for 3 months or more on like that never ending project. And there's no scope creep. Like they can't really keep coming back and asking for changes because your day is over.
Yes, that's another great point, because, oh my gosh, scope creep is such a thing, especially when you have those longer projects where they have, all of this time where they might change their mind. Like they might show their branding to their mom and their mom goes, oh, I don't like it. And even though their mom's, not the target audience.
Yeah.
I know people listening have had that problem, where the client just totally changes their mind and they have to figure out how to restructure basically the entire project and deal with that scope creep. And this just, it's not possible at all. It's so cool.
Right.
We've talked about how this attracts the right kind of client, but have you had any issues with people not making decisions quickly, or does it just kind of tend to force them to?
I really haven't had like any major issues with indecisive clients. I did have one client that took a few hours to make a decision, like on a logo, but like they know that going in, and I tell them up front, I say, if we spend too long on any one piece of the project, then that's going to take away from what's available at the end of the day to get more work done. So just knowing that prevents them from really getting too wishy-washy. I mean, it's still, the logo is like the one main thing that people sometimes get hung up on, and if we take a couple hours to do it, that's fine. But yeah, I really haven't had problems with indecisive people. And like I said, a lot of them are people who just trust me and have seen my work and know that what I'm going to create, they're going to be happy with. And so far, so good.
Awesome. So have there been any other problems that, you've run into, or that maybe anybody listening who's considering this should be aware of before they go like head first into offering day rates?
Yeah, I mean, just really practice ahead of time, like, and figure out what you're capable of getting done in a day. You want to test your own skills and abilities and how fast you work. Because I've been doing this for 15 years, I'm pretty fast and I can get a lot done. Like typically I can do a 4 to 5 page website in a day now, but it's from years of practice. So getting clear on what you can do is really important. Setting clear boundaries with your clients and really establishing all of the boundaries up front. I did have one client, they booked me like with a deposit way back when I first started offering these, and then my rates were a lot lower. They kept canceling or postponing and postponing and postponing. And before I knew it, it had been like 9 months since they originally paid their deposit. Well, 9 months later, my rates had gone up quite a bit, but they still wanted me to honor what they paid for their original deposit. And it was like, all right, I can't charge them, what I was charging way back then, because it's not my fault. They kept not being ready. So, writing that kind of stuff into your contract, making sure your contract clearly outlines what they're getting, what they're actually paying you for, cancellation policy, all that kind of stuff.
Clients' expectations, so important no matter what it is you're offering, I think. Yeah. All right. So I guess the next question is, people are wondering like, okay, well, if this is only a day, if I'm building a website in a day, or I'm doing branding in a day, or I'm doing maybe sales page copy in a day, can I actually charge a premium price for that, even though it's only one day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that a lot from people, but you have to remember that they're also paying for the convenience of getting it done in a day. Like I used to charge more for like my 6-month project, or they were supposed to be like a 6-week project. It would turn into 6 months, and I charged more for the same, approximate amount of website size that I charged for my one day. So I charged $2,000 for my one day intensive as of this recording. I used to charge anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000 for a website on the old model. you know how that goes and how it gets stretched out and there's scope creep. And before you know it, you're waiting 6 months to get paid $3,000. Whereas now I'm getting $2,000 in one day. But your clients are paying for that convenience to have it done in a day. Like they want it. So have you ever seen like the Matrix where you can have like good, fast, or cheap? You can pick two, you can't have all three or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so mine is really, you want to be good and fast, and that is a premium price. It's not cheap. But that's really where you want to be, is the premium pricing, because you're really good and you're really fast.
I love that. So what would you say is the biggest benefit to switching to this model from someone who's maybe doing, a project that takes 4, 8, 12 weeks currently?
Just knowing that you can go to bed at the end of the day and you don't have anything hanging over you. You can literally shut your work down for a week at a time and not worry about anyone needing you or asking for whatever. So really, yeah, it's just a freedom to be able to work when I want and I can plan way ahead. Like I already know exactly what days I'm going to be working in April, May, June. And then I can decide in July if we're going to be going on vacation these weeks, then I can plan ahead and not have to stress about income or, being able to take time off.
You know that feeling, I'm sure everybody listening does, when you finish a project and you're just like, it's done. I'm done with this work. I'm done with this client, at least for now.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the best. Can you imagine everybody listening having that after working with them for one day and you're just like, I'm done. It's so much freedom. Like I just think this is like the coolest thing, and allowing you to structure your business basically around your life, like choosing, I'm going to work a couple days and then, maybe be available for my kids or be available to, travel. I think this just gives you so much more freedom that a traditional, like 2 or 3 month long project just makes really difficult. Not that people don't make it work, but it's just a lot harder when you're kind of constantly tied to answering, clients for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the other things I actually forgot to mention, one of the really great benefits is once I started doing this and I only was working 1 or 2 days a week, I now, like, my kids are all in school 5 days a week. So it's not like I have babies at home with me. They leave in the morning, 8 o'clock, and they're home at 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I have all day, every day to work. So even though I'm only doing intensives 1 or 2 days a week, I now have 3 days a week to focus on other more scalable revenue streams. So I've been able to create digital products. I've been able to create courses. I created a membership, and none of that would have been possible under my old business model when felt like I was working all day, every day, jumping between 4 or 5 clients a day. I never had the time or the brain capacity to focus on creating something for myself and for my own business because I was always creating for my clients. I have more income coming in from other revenue streams that never would have been possible.
And I think, so I've mentioned that I'm going to be testing out this model soon, since I'm expecting a baby. And I just, like what you mentioned is like, I'm currently kind of like, I do this thing where I switch back and forth between working with clients because I tend to do very large kind of complicated strategy with my current clients, which is great. And it does take time, but that's just, when I'm doing that, I can't be creating a course at the same time. I can't be giving as much attention to, people in my membership at the same time. I can't split my brain that way. And I imagine when I have a child, it will be even more difficult. So I just feel like this model gives so much freedom. And yes, I will have to change my business, working with clients and like how that kind of works quite a bit. But I think that for me going forward, that makes a lot of sense. And for my clients, it can work really, really well for them too. It's not like I'm giving them a lesser product. I'm just giving them a slightly different one and attracting a slightly different audience that doesn't, want to work with me for 3 months. They want to get online or they want to make changes quickly, which is totally fine. It's just like some slight repositioning to make something that's going to work so much better for me. So I'm not trying to like do too many things at once.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, like when we're trying to do and juggle different clients and course creation and families and like all of the things, it's just, It's very overwhelming and exhausting. But yeah, it's just nice to be able to spend a whole day and like focus on that one thing and not have to shift like your focus and your brain at all.
What would someone who's currently considering a day rate model, like how should they get started? What should they do right now? Like what would be a good action step for them to take after listening to this?
I think the first thing that I recommend everyone do is validate if it's going to work for you. And in order to do that, think about, first of all, you've got to be in a position where you have clients. Like you need to have clients in order to make it work, obviously. So it's not the best fit for someone who is brand new and has no idea how to get clients, because your focus really shouldn't be on sales and marketing and getting clients at the beginning. It should be more based on your reputation and pulling in those repeat clients or referrals. But then you want to really test out your skills and your abilities and figure out what you are capable of doing in a day. And it needs to be something like, sure, we're all like these magical unicorns who can do all different things. But if you're going to be offering like a 1-day intensive, it needs to be something that you really, really, truly enjoy doing, something that you get asked to do a lot, and something that you're good at and that you can do pretty quickly. Because that's really what's going to make it work. And if you're going to spend 8 hours a day on something, like you don't want it to be something that doesn't really fulfill you. So I, just recommend testing out. One of my first ones was she had a punch list of a whole bunch of different things she wanted done. She was a previous client, so I had already built her website, but she wanted a whole bunch of edits. And the thought of going through her punch list and her email and itemizing every little thing that she wanted done, I was just kind of like, well, I can just give me a day and I'll just do it all. Just pay me a flat day rate and I'll get it all done. That way I don't have to waste an hour writing a proposal for you. We don't have to like do all this back and forth. And so she was on board with it. And so I did it. It was done. And then I did that again for a couple of other clients. And that's kind of what validated it for me. So I knew what I could do. I knew how fast I could work. And those were repeat clients and a few referral clients.
That's excellent. So let's kind of like wrap that up in a bow and say, test things out, right? And see what you're asked for and what you can kind of deliver in a day. Yep. And then maybe start to formulate what your actual service would be from that. Does that sound concise?
Yep. Yeah. So pretty much, figure out what that perfect offer is. And then also like figuring out what you're going to charge for it.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much. I'm sure we ran a little bit long because this was so good, but I think that we have some awesome takeaways as well as the next step for everybody. So thank you again so much for joining us. I'm excited to get a day rate in my business, and I'm sure all of my listeners are too.
Thank you, Erin. I appreciate it.
All right, listeners, so if you want to learn more about the life-changing magic of day rates, check out Sarah's free training at brackenhousebranding.com/3 steps. That's the number 3 steps as one word. I'll also put the link in the show notes. Thanks so much for tuning in. Any links mentioned in this episode will be included in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever platform you like to listen to podcasts on. And if you really enjoyed the show, please take 2 minutes to leave me a review so that others can find the show and create their own successfully simple business. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.